most of us are sort of living what Jesus talked about when he said to be in the world, but not of the world. And so all of us here in this room know in our hearts that we are on a path that can't be stopped. And it's a very powerful force within us. And it motivates us not only to come to things like this, but to behave in new ways and to break out of old paradigms. We also know that there is something more to this life that we are here experiencing other than just being a part of the system, and we are going to have a deeper, richer experience of life. And so, knowing that there is a deeper and a richer experience of life available to us fringe dwellers who are sort of in the world, but we're not of the world, we know this is not home. This is not our home. We know it. We know that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but that it's the other way around. That we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. We know this. And my experience with the teachers that I have had and with my own meditative practices and with my own reading is that we sign up for all of this and that there are no accidents. That God's plan works and yours doesn't, by and large. And if you want yours to work, make it the same as God's and understand that. And that when you are in nowhere, you make a decision to come here. And you pick who you're coming here with. And so if you don't like who you got, you ought to be wondering why you picked them. And when you left nowhere, and we all leave nowhere, N-O-W-H-E-R-E, and we get to now here, N-O-W-H-E-R-E, and it's all the same. It's just a question of spacing. So we go from nowhere to now here. And guess where you're headed? Back to nowhere. And you know that because you have been watching the journey, haven't you? Because whoever you are has been in a whole lot of bodies already. In fact, even how you got here from nowhere to now here is exactly the same for all of us. Like it or not, you all started out the same. You went on a picnic with your father, you came home with your mother. That's the way it gets. Okay? I don't care if you're a nun, I don't care if you're the Pope, I don't care who you are. There was a picnic. And now you show up in now here, and you show up in a room. And the room is this reality that you are experiencing, and we call it daily awareness. And you show up in this house, this beautiful house, in this little room called daily awareness. And the only way you can get into the house is through your birth. And you squeeze into this room, okay? And you spend your time here, whatever time that you have signed up for. Some of us for 10 weeks, some of us for 10 years, some of us for 100 years. And it's all in divine order. Even though we milk this melodrama of death to death. Somehow believing that it shouldn't be happening, and isn't it awful, and and we don't even believe in it anymore, and that's the ego. The ego's greatest disappointment and embarrassment is death. All right? And it does everything that it possibly can to avoid the embarrassment of dying. It will even stick tubes in you and feed you through funny little things, whatever. And God's saying, why don't you come home now? And say, well, they won't get these damn tubes out of me, and they've got this. And so we milk this and milk this and milk this and don't understand that it's in divine order. It's all in divine order. And then you leave the room at your death, and the door snaps shut. And you live your life here in this room called daily awareness. And I would like to suggest to you that all the rest of the house is something called higher awareness. And very few people know how to get out of this room of daily awareness. They don't get out of it because they are looking around and looking around for the door. And they spend their life trying to find the door out, and they're pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing. And then one day they have this stunning realization. And the realization is that the door to the other room opens inward. Inward. It doesn't open out. You can't push it out. You got to step back and let it in. You can't read about it. You can't have somebody else tell you about it. It's like the difference between knowing about God and knowing God. A lot of us know about God from what we've had handed to us through the various paradigms that we have bought into in our lives. Very few of us know God directly, have a direct knowing of the experience of saying, I now know. Like it says in A Course in Miracles, if you knew, it doesn't say if you believed, it says if you knew who walked beside you at all times on this path that you have chosen, you could never experience fear again. And when my teacher said, go out into the night, go knowing that you're not alone.